All right, let's talk about coil building. So coil building is pretty straightforward. You're going to make something out of coils. Usually what you want to do is start with the base. So I have a piece of clay here, and what I'm going to do is just flatten this out with my hands. And I'm just trying to make a slab of clay that's roughly, oh, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch thick, somewhere in there. 3/8 of an inch is really good. Alright, so I'm going to build something relatively small. I could build bigger than this if I wanted to. And to keep it simple, I'm just going to do a real simple shape. Kind of an oval shape. I could make it round. Maybe I'll make it a little less egg-shaped. And then this is the footprint of my project that I'm going to make. That is where I'm going to start. Alright, so to do this you have to know how to roll out coils. Coils are easy to do. You just take some clay, squeeze it into a shape like that, roll it out. You have to put equal pressure down as you're rolling back and forth. Get a nice even coil. Again, you want this to be about 3/8 of an inch thick, somewhere in there. You don't have to measure it, but you do want it to be nice and even and round. And usually the easiest way to roll out coils is if you stand up when you do it, so that the table surface is, right at about your belly, somewhere in there. You get the right leverage over the clay when you do it that way. When you get better at it, then it's a little easier to sit and do it. And sometimes if you go a little slower too, you can get a little more control over that clay to create your coil. Okay, so I need to score wherever I'm going to attach coils. Put some slip on there. And then attach my coil. So I just break it apart and then I push the ends together and blend them together. Alright, so just like any other hand building that you do, remember the first stage is really a rough draft stage. You're just getting your parts together. And building with coils can be a little bit messy. So this is one of those projects where it's really good to have a second thing going, a second project that you can work on as you work on this, because eventually this will get too wet, too slimy, hard to work on. So you can just let this sit and work on another project while you're doing this. So I want these things to be pretty interesting. I want you to be creative with the coils. If you want to build something that's just coils going around and around and around and you're making a very interesting shape, I want you to make it about 6 to 8 inches tall. If you are making something that's really interesting, using these coils in a creative way, doesn't have to be quite as tall. Should still at least be 6 inches tall. But you can do a lot of things with these coils. You can roll them up on end. Create things like that. You can build a bunch of those all at once. Or you can build them as you need them. So where we have two pieces come together, see how they're connecting up right there? I want to make sure I score and slip. Just to make sure it's all going to stay together. And it's okay to have little spaces here and there. Like in between, like down in here, there's some gaps. The only reason you wouldn't want to have that is if you're trying to make something that's going to hold water. If you need it to be watertight, you'll have to fill all those gaps in. Okay, so it looks pretty rough right now. Remember that. I want to stress that. A lot of times students try to make everything perfect. From the first time they put their fingers in the clay, everything needs to be perfect. That's not true. It can actually slow you down. It can make trying to figure out what you're going to do harder and harder. So just get your parts together. Get your, the start of your design going. And you also want to think about everything that you do as you do it. You don't want to just slap stuff together and call it good enough, because that will show in the work. Remember, I'm looking for a certain level of quality in this work. And quality comes from taking your time and making sure you do everything just right. And when you get to that stage where you're just fine-tuning everything and getting it exactly how you want it to look, you want to spend some time in that stage and make sure you got everything just right.